The Wheel of Time. What is up, Team JVS? We are back with another episode, another review, episode 7, man. And wow, we've been great. We've been gifted enough to get some amazing episodes this season, and I'm truly excited to hear what you guys have to say, where you rank these episodes. But again, the beginning of episode 1, it was top tier, amazing action. Episode 4, an amazing episode. Episode 7, another amazing episode. Before we dive into it, of course, hello, I'm Busy Braun. Thank you for joining the review. We do a bunch of different coverage, a bunch of coverage for different shows over here. On top of that, if you're into reactions and stuff, you can watch me watch these episodes live on my channel at Busy Braun. But yeah, man, I mean, this has been a treat. This has really been a treat. One thing that I'm really enjoying about this show is of course, obviously the development between characters. I mean, Perrin has been a character that I've personally enjoyed for quite some time, and it's gone further in this episode alone. And I know I'm gonna pronounce names wrong. You guys have been here long enough to know that's what I do. But him and Fail, I believe her name is his love interest, if you will, the woman I absolutely adore. Um, the way that she's been talking to him, and the way that she was kind of getting through his head and discussing like how he's a symbol, essentially to these people, was a highlight to me. And I'm really, really excited to talk about this episode because one thing about these reviews is we're breaking down or trying to break down as much as we can. And in one thing that these episodes do, they dive into different points, different stories. And although that's great, that sometimes in certain episodes where we are focusing on a specific episode, which I absolutely adore, and then we'll dive into another part of the story in that same episode, which is like it's cool, but it just feels like it kind of snaps me out of things. The pacing kind of throws me off because one minute we're just going 100 miles per hour with this storyline, and then the next minute it's just okay, like this is cool, but this episode was dedicated to the two rivers, which just made it so much more entertaining for me. It was just so much easier to lock in and not get thrown off by a separate story, and so much came out of this. It was ridiculous. I mean, I don't know, man. I mean, Perrin really stepped up and kind of showed how, you know, he was able to be, I guess, a leader in a sense. And then we had that exchange of dialogue between him and Fail, where she was saying like they could have followed Alana, if we wanted like the strongest person, but no, you're from here. They're following you. They trust you, and it's like realistically, it's just everything she was saying to him was something that he essentially needed to hear, and she did a really good job doing that. Like there was times, of course, where she might have taken it a step too far, like when she's mentioned his wife, and we had that little exchange, which it was interesting for sure. But I was really excited to see how he was going to respond to that because how she's kind of involved herself in his life, and now he had to kind of set that boundary and say, oh no, that was too far. But she again put her foot down and was like, what, like, is it, and she ended up getting through to him, and it was a very cool highlight for me, and it's like we had so many bits and pieces where she was talking to him, and you could slowly see it kind of just being absorbed by him. um Again, one of my favorite things about this episode was the battle, of course. One thing that we do with television is we get a really cool action sequence, a really cool war scene, that ends up lasting a decent portion of the episode, but it's always based at night. And a lot of that, the big reason behind that is usually, to maybe hide some flaws, CG, whatever it is, But although we got a big portion of that in this episode, it was in dark, but we started off with the sun, with daylight, and it was so cool to see the Trollocs, of course, with just all that light on them, with them just coming in, and to see just the villagers going off, and then every time, they would yell knock, and they actually started doing what they needed to do, and it was so good. I mean, the speeches that we got, there was moments where some of these villagers clearly didn't want to be a part of this, and just the acting by some of these like extras or some of the side characters where it made it feel a little more believable, just the all faith is lost, like we're not soldiers, we're farmers. Like, what are we gonna do, you know? And to see them actually kind of fall in and listen to Perrin, and then Perrin singing a song, and for them to all just kind of like be on board, and I don't know, it was handled really well, man. And of course, with Matt's little sisters, with them being involved, it was cool to not have them take a back seat with them being characters that we were familiar with, of course, from the beginning of the show, and for them, of course, to be able to channel and for them to add that in the mix, it just makes it really important. It makes it really interesting to have them be a key part of the battle. And when we start off with, of course, the Trollocs coming in and with all the going through all the barricades, and then we have the new wisdom, the sisters, and then we have Alana, of course, kind of taking in the power from them when they all link, and to see her like throw down a hailstorm, and one of the coolest moments of this of the show, in my opinion. I think that it looked visually amazing. They obviously pulled no punches when it came to like just the blood in general. Like, it was just absolutely brutal with the way they handled that. But I was really impressed with that. I mean, it was just so interesting to see just how brutal they the way they made the hail look, and all the people fell, just how easy the Trollocs fell. I honestly was expecting the Trollocs to kind of eat a bunch of the arrows. Like, I expected like 4 arrows to take them down, but we were seeing them actually getting flung, and as soon as that was happening, I felt a little more, a little more confident, if you will. But um, yeah, one thing, I mean, I want to talk about, of course, is our friendly neighborhood giant. You guys know I call him Shrek. I know. What's it, Loyal? I always call him Shrek. That's always been my thing, and feels disrespectful to do that here, but this dude went out like a champ, man. I mean, the way he kind of went about things. I mean, even with the two warriors with them, like he was doing everything in his power to release them so they could go and so they didn't have to be a part of this. And then at the end when he destroyed the gate, I mean, he again knew he wasn't making it out of that and ended up, of course, not bringing the he ended up by, not bringing his book. So it was just super emotional, and they just did a really good job pulling at the heartstrings. I mean, even when Alana was dying, and then we have the two girls, and she's just like, "I'm so proud of you." Like, doesn't matter. She's not coming at them or just continuing to insist, like, "Hey, no, you guys can't do it." Like, she just eased them and let them know, like, "Hey, like, it doesn't matter. Like, I'm proud of you." Like instead of getting us all worked up as viewers, like, it was just heartbreaking. Like, they did it. Oh man, it was just blow after blow after blow, and they did such a good job. And of course, another thing, we have Perrin in the Whitecloak. We have obviously a little bit of a beef there. He's still upset about the whole father situation, which is fair. Don't get me wrong. But for him to be in that situation, and for Perrin to straight up say, like, if you guys come, we will, I will surrender. And I thought he was bullshitting, because we did know that what's his name, Payton Fane. I don't know. I'm like trying to look at the cast names, and it's killing me. But we knew that he was with the Trollocs, and then we saw him, of course, join the White Cloaks at the end of the last, or like I think it was last episode. So we knew that there was something there, but for them to not 100% know that, and because I kept continuing to think he was like bullshitting them, because he kept saying, no, like, our scouts only saw 12, only saw like a dozen, and Perrin's like, well, we saw like hundreds, and he kept insisting, no, well, that's not what we saw. And me, of course, just watching this, I'm thinking he's full of crap, but this guy does have a level of honor to him, but he is extremely naive. He's just not the brightest bulb, and that's one of his big flaws. But it ending up with them pulling up after the Trollocs were attacking, and I'm just like, they were able to come in so easily, and no one's questioning that. I was surprised they weren't questioning it until Perrin was like, "Hey, like, how were you able to sneak by them?" And he's like, "What Trollocs? Like, what are you talking about?" And then, of course, when he saw Peyton Fane, he was just like, "Yeah." And I think that entire sequence was just handled brilliantly because I'm over here, of course, just wondering when this dude is gonna just stop bullshitting Perrin, and then it turns out that we got half the white cloaks not even understanding what was going on, and then we have just a big brawl. We have some white cloaks coming after other white cloaks, and white cloaks going after Trollocs, and Trollocs are going after villagers, and it was just hell broke loose. And what we already got with all these action sequences was already insane. So it's like throwing that on top of all of this craziness just made it so much more entertaining because my eyes are bouncing like, who am I watching now? Like, what am I looking at? And it was such a cool sequence that they threw in here. And of course we finally got the death of the main White Cloak. Again, I was really excited to see how they handled that, especially with the two girls. And honestly, I didn't even think about it till right now. Earlier in the episode, they kept kind of pushing at Alana, like, "Oh, when are we gonna be able to throw fireballs? You know, like you throw lightning like the other Aes Sedai did?" And lo and behold, that's how they ended up taking him out. They ended up lighting him on fire, which again is extremely sick. And through him being burnt, as sick as I am, I'm like, oh my god, like I'm cheering, I'm laughing, you know? And then I look and Alana's doing the same thing. She's cheering and laughing. And so it was just, this has been a long time coming. This has been his character. I got to give a shout out to the actor because he's portrayed this like asshole like just perfectly, like fantastically, you know, and just did a fantastic job. And of course, to see that end here was just insane, especially with how kind of shocked he was with, you know, like it was you the whole time. And we even had that moment earlier with Perrin, like talking about how, like, yeah, I feel the guilt with your father, but do you feel that guilt with, you know, of course, their mother? And he's like, oh, she was a witch, and it's like, no, no, you know, and it's everyone here kind of got a wake up call. It was really interesting, man. But this episode was just handled so well, man, and I'm so curious to see what they do with Perrin's character next. Unfortunately, I wouldn't be surprised if we don't get much on that in the next episode because of how everyone else took a backseat in this episode, which again, I don't mind. This episode was fantastic being primarily, you know, we're just primarily focused on the two rivers. That's one thing I really enjoyed, but I just expect the next episode to be kind of dealing with everything. And I'm excited to hear if you guys enjoyed the fact that this was dedicated to, of course, all things Perrin and the two rivers, because especially with the way the last episode ended with Perrin and, of course, with them under attack, I can understand a lot of you guys wanting to continue that story and wanting to get it picked up right where we left off, because that is extremely understandable, especially because of how brutal that was. But I'm really curious to hear if you guys still think that this episode was worth it. Do you guys not mind waiting another week until we get all that craziness with, you know, Rand and all that? Like, there's just a lot of questions to ask. But considering that the next episode is a finale, it's gonna be really. I'm really curious to see what they do decide to throw in this episode, because although there are, you know, some things to end, there's a lot of loose ends to end. You know, loose ends to tie up. Excuse me. But at the same time, it's like I'm excited to see how they're going to set up things in the future, and if they're going to tease, you know, just more things. Like again, Perrin. I want to see more Perrin. He's proven to be awesome. I mean, obviously, I wanted to see more wolves involved with this battle, but you know, I'm not gonna complain too much because I've been excited with what we got. But there's just a lot to be excited about, and I can't wait to talk more about it with you guys. So feel free to talk to me in the comment section. Of course, Team JVS will be responding, and then I will be responding. Then of course you guys can go to my channel, of course, to check out me watching the episode for the first time and to see all the wide range of emotions that I had, not only with this episode, but every single episode that we've gotten since season one, of course, because I've been watching this since the beginning. So go check those out, and I'd appreciate to see you guys there. But make sure you're showing support over here, guys. I mean, all of this is possible because of Team JVS. So make sure you're showing love over here. Make sure you're subscribing, liking. If there's certain shows that we cover over here that you won't like, I guarantee you there's going to be shows in the future that we do cover that you are interested in. So just stay tuned and keep your eyes open. And thank you so much for taking the time out of your day to click on this video. And we got a lot more content coming out. Of course, I'm going to Star Wars Celebration in Japan So we will be covering some things. Hopefully, I'm not sure whether it's on my channel or over here. We're going to be doing some things. We have Andor coming out, so we will be covering that on this channel. But there's a lot to be excited for, and I'm looking forward to having you guys join us. So stay tuned, like, and yeah, guys, peace out.